So film is like all the rage right now. You got creators out there like Peter McKinnon who are just making everyone get so excited about film with their own journey. You've got companies like Nice Film Club that just allow you to get your film processed and scanned so easily. You've got cameras like the Fujifilm X100VI that just create such amazing film simulations and make everyone nostalgic for those old film styles. I mean, what's not to love about film, right? Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Zach. I'm a photographer and videographer, but more important than that, I'm a husband and a father. Now, don't get me wrong, I think film is awesome, but all of this stuff has left me with the question of, is film worth it? Is it worth the time that you have to put into it? Is it worth the energy? And is it worth the price? Like, I personally love the look of film. I have a friend who lives out west and he takes such amazing film photos of the landscape where he lives. And every time he posts on Instagram, I get so excited because his photos just look so amazing and there's something unique about them. Like, they look completely different than digital photos. It's a style that is just beautiful. It's an art. Not that photography in general isn't, but it's a different kind of art and it's just beautiful. But again, is it worth it? Is it worth the amount of effort that goes into it? Now, I'm speaking from the perspective of a dad. Like, as an artist or as a photographer, you might think differently, and that's totally okay. But this video, this conversation that we're having is focused to people who are wanting to use film just for everyday life, like to document family life, to document, what's going on around them. I'm not talking about, artists and photographers out there. I'm talking about everyday dads. Is film worth it? For a long time, I told myself I wasn't going to get into it because the cost of it. But eventually I got to a point where I was like, no, I feel like I need to test it out. So I did. So I picked up a camera and I got some basic film and I tested it out. And so I'm going to walk you through how much I've spent testing out film and what my experience has been and whether or not I will continue to take film photos in my role as a dad. Okay, so I wanted to test this out, but I didn't want to go deep down the rabbit hole. I decided that I was going to kind of go cheap with it, but not so cheap that it was just, slanted, right? Like, I want to make sure I got still a quality camera, but not breaking the bank. So I picked up the Kodak Ektar H35N, which is a half frame camera. It's a simple point and shoot camera. There's not much to it. There's the button to wind the film. There's the button to take the photo. There is a flash. And then there's a little screen that can go over the lens. I think it gives it an effect. I literally never used it. But it's a very simple fixed aperture point and shoot camera. I didn't want something that I would have to mess around with a light meter or anything like that. I wanted simple and straightforward. And I went with this because it was a half frame camera. And so instead of getting 36 images, I actually got 72. So I thought, I'm doubling the amount that I'm getting out of this. I'm making it more worthwhile. So this camera itself was about $60. So initial investment, $60 into a camera. Next, it came to film. So to fill this with film, I thought I would just go with something simple, cheap, and something that I knew I liked. A film simulation that I've always enjoyed is Kodak Gold. And Kodak Gold 200 is easy to get, it's cheap. It's about $10 per roll. So I bought 3 rolls, total of $30. After that, once you have the camera and take the photos, your next expense is going to be getting them processed and scanned, and then if you want, printed. So I did a little bit of research. I looked around trying to find good companies that I could send my film off to. I don't know if you can even go to CVS or Walgreens anymore. I don't know. That's what we used to do as a kid. But I wanted to make sure that I was using a quality service because I didn't want the images to come out looking like crap and me be like, oh, that sucks. But it was because of the printers. So I chose a company called Nice Film Club. This isn't sponsored in any way. These are my raw feedback. But I chose Nice Film Club and I sent my 3 rolls off in 2 separate orders. So the first roll I sent off and I got it scanned and processed for $15. I did order prints because I thought first time around, I want to see what these look like. I think that was $12. They have a little like where you can get your negatives sent back to you. And they like cut them and sleeve them. So I did that and it was $3. And then because I was sending in half frame images, that was an extra $8. And then I had to ship it in. So that was an extra $8. So in total, that was $46. $46 for my first roll of film. My second and third rolls I sent in together in one order. So again, I had to get those scanned and processed. So that was $15 each, $30 total. They were both half frame ones. So again, that was $8 each, so $16 total. Shipping was $8. And then I chose to buy TIFF files, which are like the raw files, so you can edit them a little bit, for I think 6 images. And that came out to something like $6. So in total there, I spent about $60. I chose not to order prints the second time around or get the sleeving done the second time around. I just wanted to try that out the first time and see if getting my photos printed from them are worthwhile. And I'll get to that in a minute. So all in price wise, I spent, I think $194, which is not horrible to get into a new hobby. But still, $200 is a good chunk of change. But that's not the only thing we're measuring. We're also measuring, is it worth the time and effort? So the time element, it's different than shooting digital because I know I have a fixed amount of photos that I can shoot. So the first roll, I was very picky with the amount of images I was taking on certain times. There was probably photos that I left untaken because I wanted to really savor the film. My second and third rolls, I was a lot more free with taking photos. So I tried to take doubles and like triples of the same shot to get a variance. When it came to getting them developed, there is a time period that you have to wait. It's not like instant gratification like it is with digital cameras, right? You have to send the photos off. You have to then wait for them to come back. And there is, something that happens to you in that. And I actually did enjoy that. Like I actually did enjoy getting excited about it and then getting to see them all at once and kind of relive that and be surprised by that. I didn't think I was going to, but I did enjoy that process. And it wasn't too bad of a turnaround time. I think it was like 5 days, so it wasn't horrible. Now the process of taking film photos definitely was a little bit different than digital. Like I already mentioned, I kind of had to be a little bit more picky with the images I was taking. I was trying to really savor the images, but then after my first roll, I kind of learned like, I think I need to take more of the same shot because if one isn't perfect or isn't right, then you just miss it. So if you take 2, you got a better chance of it being right. And that didn't really work out for me the second time around or the third time around. So it's definitely like, because you're limited in the amount of photos you can take, you have to put more into practicing it and getting it down. Which means you're investing more money, more time, all of that stuff. Whereas digital, you can snap 100 photos and learn a lot. I feel like you can learn with digital a lot quicker, And then along with that, if you're using, a camera like this, you're working with a camera that has fixed aperture, fixed shutter speed. Your film itself is fixed to a certain ISO. So I had plenty of images that just did not turn out well because the lighting was not ideal. We went to a concert and I wasn't allowed to take my X-T30 in, but I was allowed to take this in. And I got literally no photos because I tried to, but they all just turned out way too dark, underexposed. You couldn't get anything. And that's kind of on me, right? For even trying that, like knowing I was working with 200 ISO film stock, but that's kind of disappointing to me when you take an image and it just is completely ruined. Like to me, it feels like a waste of money. It's a learning experience, yes, but it feels like a waste of money. So now that's everything like I put into it, right? That's the money I put in, that's the time I put in, the investment of trying something new. The question is, was it worth it? Do I enjoy the process? Did I enjoy taking the photos? Let's talk about the photos themselves first. So my first roll of film, I absolutely loved. Like I remember looking at the photos right away and loving all of them. There were some that were unusable. There were some that had a lot of film burn on them because I kept opening up the back of the camera while I was rolling it, and I'm an idiot. But I loved pretty much every image on that first roll of film. There's definitely things I wish I had done differently. There's definitely times I wish I had taken more of the same photo to get a better one. But I loved all those images. And if you had asked me this right after my first roll, I would say yes, 100%, it's worth it. Because of the feeling that I got getting those photos back, the excitement I felt, the way the photos looked. I loved the look of them, the colors of them, everything like that. After my second and third rolls though, I think my answer changed because I got my second and third rolls back and I just didn't love the photos as much. Maybe it could have been something with the lighting because I took a lot like in the same time frame. Like one roll was literally one evening. And I just didn't love them. They didn't look as good to me. They looked muddy. They looked just meh. There's definitely some good ones that came out of both of those rolls. I won't negate that, but the amount of ones like that were good versus the ones that were meh, like was way outnumbered. And then my first roll of film, I sent off at the beginning roll of September. I paid to get images back and to get the sleeving done. And maybe there was a miscommunication on my end with the company. This could be a one-off, but I didn't get my images sent back to me. I got an email saying they were ready for pickup, and I was like, wait, I'm in Fort Wayne, you're in Brooklyn, like this doesn't work. So they said they would mail them to me, but then it took them so long to get them mailed to me. They're currently in the mail. Like I still don't have them. I still have not seen the actual prints or the sleeving. I got those things because one, I thought it'd be cool to have the prints and the sleeving, like the negative sleeved from my first roll of film. But also I wanted to test out like how do they do it printing? Like does their printing look good? But I can't judge that yet because I still don't have them. And I think to me, like that's been a big annoyance. So all in all, it's a hard thing because I now have the camera. Film is cheap-ish. If I stick with the Kodak Gold, it's cheap enough. But I'm like, do I want to go through the process of getting stuff scanned and processed all the time? I don't really think so. I personally don't think it's worth it for everyday parents just trying to document family life. Maybe if you're going on like a vacation and you want something special, or you know it's a special occasion, like maybe then it can be worth it. I could see myself still bringing this on vacations with us. I could see myself giving it to my kids, maybe, but I just think that you have to invest more money than it's necessarily worth. I think to me, when it comes to using film, and again, I'm speaking from a perspective of a dad, not like a artist. I think there's a, you know, how much you have to invest in it, and that's the risk. And then the reward is you get these amazing photos or you get these really crappy photos. And you get the same thing with digital, but how much you have to invest just feels like a lot less. Like, yes, you have to pay more for a camera up front probably, but I hate the feeling of paying for an image and not knowing if it's going to turn out and then getting it back and it just looks like booty cheeks. Like that's hard for me. I think that's what's hard for me to get past. And I think as someone who can put myself in two different camps of dad and just photographer, maybe I could go this way and use it more. But if I'm thinking in my dad perspective, no, I don't think I'll use it. I don't think it's worth it. And that's just my own personal opinion. Take that for what it is. But I thought I would give you, here's what I had to invest in it, financially, time-wise, process-wise. Here's what I feel like I got out of it. And if it's worth it, to me, I think I'd say no. But that shouldn't, just because I said it, shouldn't make your decision. If you are someone who's considering it, I encourage you to try it. Because you'll never know if you don't try. Your experience could be very different than my experience. I would say pick up something small and cheap like this so that if you are trying it, you're not investing a ton of money in. You're investing enough that you're giving it a good chance, but you're not going to break the bank if it doesn't work out. Like, do I feel like I sent $200 down the drain? Not necessarily. Maybe half of that. Like, I feel like it's half worth what I put in. But to me, I was okay with investing $200. Everyone may not be. So I would say figure out before you actually make the purchases how much you're willing to invest in it and kind of stick with that, and then test it out, decide if it's for you, and decide if you want to keep testing it out, go for it, or be like, nah, not for me. So that's my experience with it. I still love film. I still love looking at film. I think it's beautiful. I'll still, keep editing my photos to kind of look a little bit like film, even though they're not film, and you definitely think you can tell the difference, whatever. But to me, this camera will probably sit on the shelf unless we go on like vacation and I just want to bring it with me. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong? If you're an artist, I get it, I'm wrong. But if you're just a dad, or mom, I would love to know what you think about it. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe if you're not already. Like this video if it definitely helped. And we'll see you in the next one.